Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Polio Talk, and I'm very glad that at this afternoon, morning, evening, or whatever the part of the day is in your part of the world, we have so many people gathered in this holiday season to discuss this very important topic for Rotary International and for all of us. And I'm very happy that today with us we have Carol, Director of PolioPlus at Rotary International. Of course, all of us are very well informed and aware of her position and everything that she is doing and helping us on awareness building on polio and helping us as volunteers all around the world in this fight against this disease. I had opportunity to meet Carol a few weeks ago in Evanston, and we had a very good event together on World Polio Day in Evanston in headquarters of Rotary International. And I used the opportunity to invite her at the end of this calendar year and in the middle of our Rotarian year to sum up what's happening now, what's new in the world, what's new in fundraising activities, what's new in geopolitics, what is new in all aspects that's important for NPolio Now coordinators, other regional coordinators and leaders, senior leaders, and all Rotarians in clubs and districts. So, Carol, thank you very much for your time a few days before the Christmas and at the beginning of this holiday season. But I hope that we will have some nice news and that we will be encouraged at the end of the meeting and that we can go happily to our holidays and to be prepared for the next calendar year and next part of our Rotarian years. So, Carol, as I mentioned at the beginning, please use 15 to 20 minutes for some overall presentation speech, and then we will open floor for all of us for questions and comments.
Okay, thanks, Nicola, very much for that introduction. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see so many people that I know on this call today. So hello to my many friends in Rotary. So I'll just provide a quick update on where we are in our global effort to eradicate polio and some of the more recent developments that we've had. I think, sorry. My phone. So we've had 39 cases so far this year of wild polio virus in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and that's 9 in Afghanistan, 30 in Pakistan. We've had 200 of the variant polio virus largely in Africa, and most of those cases of the variant polio virus, the outbreak countries, are of the type 2 variant. But it's important to note that almost 90% of all of those variant poliovirus type 2 cases are in just 5 countries. And those countries are Nigeria, Yemen, Ethiopia, Chad, and Angola. And the good news on Angola is they have not had a case for many months now. So it looks like that outbreak is coming to a close. So we're really focused on some very specific geographies in Africa and in the Eastern Mediterranean region where we've got the variant poliovirus type 2. And there is a big effort underway, especially in the Lake Chad Basin countries of Chad and Nigeria, to develop a strategy across those 5 countries in that area to get rid of polio there. Of interest, I think, is that a Rotary member, our National PolioPlus Committee chair in Chad, has been appointed as the incident manager for polio eradication in Chad. So he's a government appointee leading the polio eradication effort in Chad. And I think that really speaks to Rotary's role in polio eradication efforts in Chad. His name is Dr. Siniki Fandebnet. We recently had a pledging moment in Abu Dhabi and in the United Arab Emirates, and the IPPC chair Mike McGovern and I were in Abu Dhabi, during which organizations like Rotary and the Gates Foundation and Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Germany announced new contributions to polio eradication. Rotary was re-announcing actually what we announced in June, that we extended our relationship with the Gates Foundation through 2029, but there was new funding also announced. So the total amount pledged in Abu Dhabi was $1.9 billion through 2029. And that means we're about a little over $400 million short of the full funding that we need to fully support the strategy through 2029. And while that may seem like a lot, it actually, from the polio perspective, seems rather doable to raise those funds through 2029. And very on the positive front for funding, even though the U.S. government has noted its withdrawal from the World Health Organization, it looks like the funding for polio eradication will be sustained. So it's just a question of now how those funds get directed through the U.S. State Department and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So that's really a positive development, and it really speaks to the advocacy efforts of our polio eradication advocacy task force in the U.S. that's been really behind the scenes advocating with the U.S. government to sustain polio eradication funding. Another exciting announcement is that IPPC Chair Mike McGovern is taking on the role of Chair of the Polio Oversight Board, and that is the highest level governing body of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. It's a 2-year appointment, 2026, 2027, and really a super exciting development for Rotary. And I think everybody on this call would agree that it would be great if we could stop wild polio virus during Mike's term as a real recognition of Rotary's role in polio eradication. So I think we should all work doubly hard to make that happen while Mike is chair of the Polio Oversight Board. It was reported at the most recent International PolioPlus Committee meeting that just concluded last Thursday, is that Rotary has committed $3.015 billion to the global effort to eradicate polio. So that's a figure that we can proudly share with Rotary members all over the world. We still have our goal of raising $50 million per year, which is matched 2-to-1 by the Gates Foundation through 2029. And I'm often asked, what does it cost to immunize a child, especially in Afghanistan and Pakistan, against polio? So in Afghanistan, it costs, every time you reach a child with the vaccine, it costs about 73 cents. And in Pakistan, it costs 52 cents. And now it's important to note that children have to be immunized multiple times. So that 72 cents or 73 cents and 52 cents is just a one-time opportunity to reach children. That includes the vaccine, it includes operational support, communications, everything it takes to reach the child, but they have to be immunized multiple times. I did mention that we just had our International PolioPlus Committee meeting, and during that meeting, the IPPC considered grant requests from WHO and UNICEF, and we are recommending $50 million in funding to the trustees, and that will be considered at the trustee meeting on January 10th and 11th. And finally, I would say that we are expecting to receive the $100 million from the Gates Foundation in matching funds on January 8th while we are at the International Assembly. So everything seems to be on track for that. And with that, I think I will conclude. Well, let me talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we have. We seem to be on a pretty good trajectory with the downward trend in cases in both the endemic countries of Afghanistan and Pakistan and with the variant polio virus. But what are some of the challenges that we're facing? I'm not sure if anybody saw the news over the weekend, but it appears as if the military in Pakistan is consolidating its power. Now, what that means for polio eradication or geopolitically, what it means at all, it's not clear, but it seems as if the military is getting stronger and stronger in Pakistan. And the good news is that they're on side for polio eradication activities in the country and are also often helping to intervene in areas of conflict. So we hope that that is sustained. In Afghanistan, our biggest challenge is we don't have house-to-house access to children, and it's not so bad in the east part of the country because things seem to be working well. But in the southern part of the country, in the south region, it's very difficult to reach children with the polio vaccine. They go site to site, and they have to call children out of the houses in order to vaccinate them. There's no going into a house to vaccinate a child. And so without that house-to-house activity in the South, we're really struggling to reach as many children as we need to reach during each campaign. And there's also been a backlog of stool samples that have not been shipped from Afghanistan to the regional laboratory in Pakistan due to border closures, due to the conflict that's been happening, especially along the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. So we don't have the full picture of how many wild polio virus cases there may be in Afghanistan until those specimens get shipped. And there's a lot of negotiation going on to get those samples out of Afghanistan on a flight to the regional lab in Islamabad. And then I think what all of the countries that are experienced the large outbreaks in Africa and in Eastern Mediterranean region, in particular Yemen, they all have a very kind of common elements of conflict, inaccessibility, insecurity, and complex humanitarian emergencies. So really, one of the questions Nicola had is, what does it mean what does the last mile mean in reality? And the last mile in reality means you're working in the most difficult places where there are so many complex things happening that makes reaching children very difficult. But it doesn't mean we don't try to do it. We do what we can and negotiate with every stakeholder that we can in order to access children. So I think I will leave it there and just say thank you to everyone on this call for the great work that you continue to do, helping us reach our goal of $50 million, advocating with governments to secure the funding that we need, and raising awareness with our Rotary members and the global community about Rotary's role in polio eradication. The number of cases in Angola, we have 19 cases. And I will note that we're meeting with President-elect Yinka at the International Assembly with the district governors-elect from the districts where we have countries that are affected by polio, so that we can collectively come together and talk about what we can do more to work on those variant polio viruses and wild polio viruses. So we're really raising the awareness at the International Assembly for polio eradication. And for those of you who won't be there, we've got some really exciting and some fun things that we're doing. One is there's going to be a gala on one of the evenings that is I think it's called Delivering on the Dream or something like that, where everybody's going to be encouraged to wear purple or red to show their support for polio eradication. and there are life-size cutouts of President-elect Yinka and Trustee Chair-elect Jen that will be available take a picture with at the PolioPlus booth for districts that pledge 20% of their DDF. So lots of great stuff going on at the International Assembly to raise awareness with our district governors-elect about polio eradication.
Thank you, Carol. Let's start with the question. You already mentioned this as an issue. So we can say that the end of this year is optimistic with the numbers. It's a better situation than it was last year. But you mentioned that we are not present in the field on the spot in all Afghanistan. So how on which level we can trust the numbers, and we can compare the numbers 5 years ago and now in such a region that it's geopolitically and in different ways in challenging position. So are you feeling that this is optimistic timing for us, or we are just having biased by numbers that we can reach?
Yeah, no, I think we can feel this issue with the specimens in Afghanistan has just come up, and so I think we're very confident in the surveillance system and the ability to detect polio in Afghanistan. What we don't know is how many of these specimens that have not been shipped across the border. We don't know how many of those might be wild polio. There may be none, but to this point, we've been very confident in the numbers that are coming out of Afghanistan in particular. They have a very strong surveillance system.
Thank you. So let's open the floor for a question. Terry, please.
Yeah, Carol, thanks first for all the amazing work that you do with polio, and I second your comments about increased awareness of polio at AI, and the past Rotary International Convention also was much better than past years, I think, and so I think that's important because we've in past years sometimes I think the district leaders have not gotten much polio information. So, but my question is really about the variant cases. They too are about half of what they were the year before, and I'm wondering, to what would you owe that decrease in the number of cases?
I would attribute that to a real focused attention on the key geographies of Nigeria, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo. If you look at the Democratic Republic of Congo, they used to have the most variant poliovirus, and they're reporting, I think, maybe one case of variant poliovirus type 1. No variant poliovirus type 2. So they've really doubled down on their efforts to reach children with the novel oral polio vaccine. So I think it's our focus, the decision for the Global Polio Eradication Initiative to focus on what we call the consequential geographies that are considered the engines of transmission that are exporting the virus all over the continent has really paid off.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I will say at the convention in Taipei, one of the speakers will be Senator Aisha Farouk from Pakistan, who is the Prime Minister's focal person for polio eradication. So it'll be good for Rotary members to hear firsthand from her about her thoughts on the effort in Pakistan. So somebody was asking, why are children immunized multiple times? You need to be immunized multiple times to ensure that that you would develop the level of immunity that you need to be protected from the polio virus. And so it's important to that children get immunized multiple times.
In this moment, I just want to say hello and to greet past Rotary International President Ravi, that he is with us, and thank you for being with us. And if you can join us with the message, audio message or video message, just jump in the call. So, Carol, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, thank you. Carol, I can't remember if it was 2017 when the end game strategy was rewritten. Maybe the plan was to administer two doses of OPV and one dose of IPV as part of the process for endgame. Is that still being worked on, or is the novel OPV replacing the IPV?
No. So we have a new strategy that was developed 2022 through 2026, and it was extended through 2029. And the idea in the countries that are endemic for the wild polio virus, we use the bivalent oral polio vaccine because that one addresses both types 1 and 3. In the countries with type 2 variant poliovirus outbreaks, we're using the NOPV2. And then the idea is to introduce 2 doses of the inactivated polio vaccine into routine immunization systems. So most countries have introduced at least 1 dose, and there's a major effort underway to ensure that all countries introduce that second dose of IPV.
Not, please.
Bernard? Or Bernhard?
Yeah.
Bernhard.
Carol, question. Carol, I have a question. I heard from a governor elect that about 90 governors worldwide are not allowed to come to the next governor training in the U.S. They're not allowed to come in to the country. Would you actually give them, let's say, then a very detailed explanation about the whole polio project? Because there might be some who are not really aware of the whole thing. I mean, knowing that, of course, they were presidents and what have you, and probably they were very much aware of polio. But, I remember when we had this kind of training, this governor training, we were really getting a very deep insight into the whole case. Would you do that for the 90? Because I learned it from a guy who is governor-elect, and he's not allowed to come into the U.S. for the training.
It's unfortunate situation. Yeah, I'll be part of the working with the education team, leadership team, to provide some additional training for those district governors elect who are not able to travel to the International Assembly.
I will actually let them know. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Ramin?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ramin from Afghanistan. You have mentioned that you are, teams have a problem in the south and not in the east. May I ask what's the reason why is it such a difficulty in the south?
Yeah, so in the East region, we're actually able to, women are actually able to join the teams, the mobilizers and the vaccinators who are going out to, they're not able to go into the homes, but they're able to engage with families. And that is not the case in the South. So it's very difficult for men to be speaking with women in the South region about family matters overall, or about really any matter overall. So I think some of that has a lot to do with our ability to reach families in the East versus the South.
Sorry, is that the report from Afghanistan? That's what they're saying, or
Yes.
somebody verified it? How is that?
What's that?
Like, how is that verified? Like, basically, I mean, I'm from Afghanistan, so I don't really see why one place, because they're both the same people. South and East are all Pashtuns. So I don't, I'm not understanding that why one would allow and what would not, because to me, that is not, I mean, we are not like we, the Rotarians, are not involved in whatever is going on with PolioPlus. We're never involved, but to me, it just doesn't make sense. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, well, our understanding is, and this is from our colleagues at UNICEF and WHO who are on the ground, is that the cultural environment is different in the East region than in the South region, and that it is more conservative in the South region, and house-to-house access is quite limited, but also it may not even be house to house. It might be mosque to mosque, where you're not even going. Vaccinators aren't even able to be in the neighborhoods. Vaccination is only taking place in the mosques. So that's what we understand from our colleagues at the World Health Organization and UNICEF. And there is some engagement of Rotary with polio eradication in Afghanistan. We have our National PolioPlus Committee, who's chaired by Mohammed Ishaq. So he's also engaged, and this is what he's reporting to us as well.
He's the only one. He's not actually an active Rotary member, and I've brought this many times up, and doesn't seem anybody to listen. He's not actually an active Rotarian. He's just whatever he is, and we are not. We, the Rotarians who are active, or don't know anything about that Rotary. And the reports that are being mentioned, I'm very surprised, because I actually, for about 5-6 years, had a polling and research organization. We were going all over Afghanistan, and that was not a problem. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I'm following the question in chat, but I'm making that question more general about the context of anti-vaxxer activities all around the world, and how this movement or presence in social media is influencing our job all around the world. Of course, it's not helping. So what can you suggest us how to deal with anti-vaxxers, and how to stay committed with our program and our activities, and on the other hand, in which way it's influencing the fundraising activities? The question in chat was on US funding, but it's not just about United States funding, but also all around the world.
So, I mean, that's I think it's a very difficult question about the vaccinations position of some people, and how that information gets communicated worldwide, right? In this age of just TikTok and WhatsApp and all the digital social media that we have. And so it is becoming more challenging in some countries to advocate for funding for immunization activities overall. And so polio, of course, is an immunization program. And so you mentioned the United States, and we know that we have some political leadership that has a particular stance on vaccination, but the funding doesn't come from the administration itself. It comes from Congress. And so that's where our advocacy efforts are focused, on the congressional leadership and the champions that we have built over the years to make our arguments to sustain funding for polio eradication. And I think we've been quite successful at doing that, and we have good indications, although the budget process is not final for 2026, that we may have been able to sustain funding at levels that we previously had in 2025. But that's the case in many countries, that there's just different positions on immunizations that are making our advocacy work sometimes more challenging than it used to be. But I think it's not only anti-vaxxers, but it's also the overall kind of geopolitical, economic landscape that we face, where there are different things happening in the world, where governments are making decisions on where to prioritize funding. And global health is taking a hit, I think, not only for polio eradication, but for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. They did not raise the amount of funds that they had hoped to raise. And so I think the global health landscape for funding is also shifting over this period of time. And so again, it just requires all of us to work that much harder in advocating for funding, making our arguments about why protecting children's health is a priority.
Thank you very much. Also, there are some questions in chat about the commitments of the governments to the PolioPlus and about pledges that you were mentioning. Can you again explain what's new and what's happening, just to clarify the understanding on this topic?
Sure. So at the pledging moment, there was $1.9 billion in funding announced for polio eradication through 2029. And that leaves us about $400 million short of fully funding the strategy through 2029. And so where do those funds come from? Right, some of those funding is Rotary funding through 2029, since we extended our commitment with the Gates Foundation. The Gates Foundation, on top of their commitment with Rotary, made an additional commitment to polio eradication. The German government announced their 2025 and 2026 commitment to polio eradication. The United Arab Emirates announced a new commitment for polio eradication. Pakistan announced some domestic funding, around $150 million for the next few years for polio eradication. So these are really largely Rotary, the Gates Foundation, and the governments of the world. So this may not be well known to everyone, but Rotary has in about 26 countries either national advocacy advisors or advocacy task forces. And the role of this group of people is to advocate to government for support for polio eradication. So we've got a task force in the United States, we have a task force in Australia, we have a task force in Germany, and we have very active Rotary members in Germany, Canada, Japan, Australia, UK, France, everywhere, really working hard, United States, working hard to secure the funding that we need to fully support the effort. So while the numbers seem large, we're actually in a pretty good position in funding the strategy going forward, but we have more work to do. I will note it's important that Saudi Arabia, was it last year, in 2024, announced a $500 million commitment to polio eradication. So we're seeing with Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, like an elevated resourcing for polio eradication, which is good because that region is the one that's affected by polio. And so by having regional leaders commit to polio eradication, it kind of sends a message to the polio affected countries that it's a priority for the region.
Thank you very much. Terry, please.
Well, my question was kind of a follow-up for that. Carol, I've always wondered, do these pledges almost always come to pass to turn into real donations? Because I can see when governments make pledges, a new government comes in the next year and says, no, we're not going to do that. So, but have they pretty much?
I'd say by and large, yes, they do come in. There's been the occasion when a pledge has not been fulfilled or a pledge has been reduced, right? that whatever commitment, one government made, the following government says, okay, we're still committed, but we're not committed at that level.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I will add this to these pledges from Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, that it's important also for building a trust into the polio eradication process in the field, in the countries where we are dealing with. So such countries are helping us also with that. I can say it's not only about the donation. It's important, of course, but the support of these countries are important for the region where we are fighting the polio. So, as I can comment.
Yeah, I think that's right. And in the Eastern Mediterranean region, for the World Health Organization, at least, there is a subcommittee, a regional subcommittee on polio eradication and outbreaks that is co-chaired by UAE and Qatar. And so the ministers of the region convene regularly to discuss polio eradication. That includes Pakistan and Afghanistan, but it's how the region can support those countries in finishing the job. So you're right. It's not only the money, but it is the support and leadership in engaging with those countries.
Thank you. Kim, please. You wrote that you have a question.
Hi, thank you, Nicola, for this awesome webinar, and Carol for all your great responses. As always, I'm amazed by you. My question is this: I was told that it costs an average of $3 US to fully protect a child against polio, and that includes the cost of the vaccine, the activities required to deliver the vaccine, such as transportation costs, vaccinator stipends, vaccine carriers, chalk to mark the houses after a visit, dye to paint the children's fingers purple to indicate they've been vaccinated, and that, of course, each child must receive multiple doses of polio vaccine to be fully protected. And so therefore has to be reached multiple times. And I was given 3 times at least. So that's where we came up with $3. Would you say that that's correct, or am I off?
Yeah. So, yeah, the figure that I quoted was one time, right, of reaching a child with the vaccine. So if you look at a cost of, say, 52 cents, and the calculation, it's a rough calculation because we know that kids are getting immunized multiple times each year, because there are multiple national immunization days, there are subnational immunization days. So in Pakistan, for example, I think they have activities almost every other month. And so if the cost in Pakistan is 52 cents, let's assume a child is getting immunized at least 2 times a year over a 3-year period. So that's 6. So it's 52 times 6. So that's on average, I'd say $3. So I think that's largely correct. It's an estimate, right?
Right.
And so we wanted to drill down into that number because kids are getting immunized 6, 8, 10 times a year, so it's really hard to estimate exactly how
I gotcha.
cost for each child. Yeah.
Thank you. That helps me. I just wanted to make sure that I was kind of in the ballpark. I know it's not an exact number.
Yeah,
I
it's helpful
appreciate
for
you.
fundraising. Yeah, for to be able to give a number that people can kind of
Exactly.
think about, like if I give $100, how many kids will it protect?
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kim.
Any additional question? If not, Carol. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Carol. I have another one. Carol,
Yes.
would there be a possibility that the health minister is actually cutting spending, or let's say giving to the healthcare system, including polio money?
Which minister?
Your healthcare minister in the U.S., I mean, Robert Kennedy.
Is he giving money for polio eradication? Is that what you're
Well,
asking?
also in the United States. I mean, he's a so-called anti-vax guy, as far as we know. Is he doing that also in the United States, or is that, far-fetched, or, is that, kind of, the different story?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different. I think what his position is to be reviewing the routine vaccination recommendations for children in the US. And so there may be a change to the recommended vaccine schedule, but it's not really related to funding per se. It's a policy decision.
Okay, because I heard a different story, but never mind. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Dear Irena Brichta is then Polio Now coordinator together with me in Zone 21. So Irena, please.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to catch up, but this is my first year as as EPNC, so I'm trying to catch up on all the details. And I suppose I'm still a little curious, Carol, please, and apologies. I know that there's never any silly question, but I'm just not quite up to date with all the numbers. And why is it that children in these areas would need to be? You mentioned that they need to be multiple times vaccinated in order to, have the highest immunization. But in, let's say, Western Europe, or, I myself was only vaccinated twice, early, I think, when I was a child, and then later on. Is it because the level of vaccination, therefore, in the more developed countries is higher defense, so we don't need so many times of vaccination? I just really want to get my mind around it. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's two explanations here.
Thank you.
The first is so in some of these areas where these children are living, so they have multiple let's see, how should I say? They have enteroviruses in there, so they have a lot of diarrhea, right, and maybe malnutrition, and so it's harder for the vaccine to stick in their systems, right? So they need to be immunized. In India, they did an assessment and they said that kids had to be immunized a minimum of 10 times to get that level of protection that is not needed in a more developed country where just a couple of doses is going to work. So they have, they're malnutrition, undernourished, and diarrheal disease. And there's poor water and sanitation, so there's a lot of virus circulating. And then the other fact is that, when you're working on an eradication program, and for example, in Pakistan and in other countries, you're immunizing every child under the age of 5, no matter what, right? So it's not like not everybody necessarily has a vaccination card or something like that. Your goal is to reach every child under the age of 5 during a National Immunization Day, whether or not they've been immunized once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, right? So that's how they too get vaccinated many times as well. But there's no downside. There's no negative health impact of being vaccinated multiple times. It just helps boost your immunity more and more.
Great. Thank you very much. That's very, very clear now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have additional question in chat. Is Rotary aware of the research being done at Tulane University in US to develop an oral polio vaccine that does not use any live polio virus? Gates Foundation has donated $2 billion US dollars. So that's the question.
We are aware. We are aware. We're not involved in the research.
Yeah, it's no billion, 2 million. Yeah, sorry for yeah.
Yeah, we are aware, a lot of research going on with various vaccines. There's been research going on for many years about like a nano patch that would be, it wouldn't even be oral, it wouldn't even be injectable, it'd be a little patch that we put on your skin. It hasn't come to fruition yet, but there's lots of different research that's going on, and Rotary does fund some research activities for polio eradication. It's a very small percentage, but we received proposals from the Polio Research Committee of the World Health Organization, and the International PolioPlus Committee just reviewed a couple projects at their most recent meeting, and one is going forward for to the trustees for funding.
Thank you very much. So, Carol, please some final words. Summarize. Let's summarize this evening, this morning, and afternoon, and so if you can send some overall message at the end of the year and the beginning of the next year.
Yeah, so my overall message is that I am optimistic about our opportunity to eradicate polio. The partnership for polio eradication is very strong. Rotary is now leading that partnership through, as chair of the Polio Oversight Board. And in order for us to achieve a polio-free world, we really want every Rotary member to be engaged in some way. Because I think when we achieve polio eradication, every Rotary member will want to say that I was part of history, because we are all part of history in reaching polio eradication, only the second human disease ever to be eradicated. And so I think if you're a Rotary member and you didn't participate in some way, it would be disappointing to not be part of history. And so I think that's a message that we can encourage every Rotary member to either, commit resources, advocate, raise awareness, do something to help us reach our goal of a polio-free world. But we are optimistic about our chances and our opportunities to reach all children with the vaccine and make history.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you very much. It's a very good message for all of us, and it's always encouraging for us after such meetings like Polio Talks or some other meetings, when we are informed about the global perspective, and when we understand what's happening and what Rotary International is doing behind the scene, and with the idea to accomplish the goal. So thank you very much for summarizing such important topics that happens in the events and topics that happens and being focused in last few weeks. And I think that we can go to holidays with some optimism, and to keep our energy for continuity of our joint fight against polio. So thank you very much once again that you spent time with us at the beginning of holidays. I wish you a Merry Christmas, happy holiday season to all of you, my friends, all around the world. Whatever the holidays are that you are celebrating, enjoy with your families, with your friends, with your closest human beings, and continue to be a part, important part of our fight against polio, for the children of the future and for the better world. Thank you very much, and I wish you successful 2026.
Thank you all. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you.
Carol, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Carol.
Bye. Bye.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.